What's up everyone? So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing AFMAT's laptop cooling pad. Now, this was sent to me for free for an honest review. They gave me some things to talk about, some talking points. Some of it I think is worth including in this video. However, I think for the most part, what I really want to do is essentially test the cooling capability of this item, and also, how would it work in someone's workflow in terms of just like playing video games, or if you want to use it for work, and other bells and whistles that this cooling pad may have. Now, currently I have a computer that's running Cinebench, and what Cinebench is it pushes the GPU to do a lot of work so that it heats it up and essentially putting the computer through a stress test. So right now the computer is hot, fan is on, essentially the GPU is running and just continuously rendering stuff. All right, so I put my computer aside, let's open up this bad boy. So as you can see, this is the pad, and here's this white piece here that you can just kind of tug out. And as I can see, there's also replacement pieces here, and I can show that in a little more detail later on. It's rubber or silicone, and it helps prevent the computer from slipping. You can see there's some pieces here to hook on to the computer. You can tell from the side. These are the fan pieces, and then there's also some ventilation at the bottom. So I think the air gets sucked in through here, and then a fan blows out the air from the bottom. You can see in the back, and so these legs, you can put it up here like that, so that you can adjust for it ergonomically. You can see there's different ridges here, so that you can set different height adjustments for your laptop, so based on how you want to place it. And as you know, ergonomics are very important. So it sits quite nicely, right? From the side, it looks like this. And I can also adjust the angle so that, if I don't want it to be so high, I want it to be a little lower in terms of its profile, I just do that and it's lower, right? So pretty straightforward. Feels like it can carry a pretty heavy load. I'm pushing down pretty hard on it. Up front, there are some buttons, and we can press those buttons later. USB cable, so I'm just gonna plug it in. Extra rubber band that you can put on. As you can see, this is a different size from the one inside. So I guess if you have a smaller laptop, you use the one inside. If you have a bigger laptop like I do, you will use the one on the outside. I'm just gonna switch it really quickly. So after a lot of pushing and prodding, I finally managed to get this to work. It didn't take too long, only took about a couple of minutes for me to actually get it in there. Now let's take a look at what's in here. Instructions telling you that these are air dampers. The whole point of this is to suck in cool air so that cool air comes out of the fan and hits the laptop to help with the heat dissipation. Some 3M stickers to stick on it to block out the back. I'm gonna put it on right now because my laptop, the heat does come out from the back. This is a pretty flimsy plastic, so it's not like the hard plastics. So even if this breaks, finding anything else would probably work. There's some ridges here for you to stick it on. So I'm gonna take this out, and you can see there's an air filter here. Now, how I'm gonna replace this air filter, I don't know. It seems like just some regular foam. Basically, this is where, the air filter is to capture all the dust and everything. So now these are both on. All right, now, so it's fully set up. I just need to plug it into my computer. I don't know if you can hear it, but that fan is moving, and the size is perfect. If you got a big laptop like mine, if you have a smaller one, then the smaller rubber piece would do. All right, I'm gonna plug this in to my laptop. And, let's see. There's light coming out the side. I don't know if you can see that, but let there be light, right? All right, there's some buttons. You can see the buttons. I'm gonna turn this around for you so you can see it a little more clearly. All right, over here, there are some buttons. These buttons include on, off, LED lights. So I guess the LED lights, and then there's 3 speeds, right? It's very simple. I'm gonna turn off my ring light for a second. Green comes out the front as well. Purple, blue, sorry, is that blue or purple? Blue. Yeah, so several colors for you to choose from. Comes out the front. Comes out the front. And the sides, so pretty cool stuff. All right, now to try the actual fan. I turn on level 1. Honestly, don't feel too much of a difference. Level 2, I start hearing the fan. It's more apparent now. Level 3. And I'm just gonna keep this running for a bit. Keep this running for about 5 minutes. because right now it's hot to the touch. All right, so we've been running this for 5 minutes, and I figured it would be a good time to use, the next 5 minutes to talk about some of the key talking points. Now, to be very clear, these are the talking points that they sent me, and my goal is to tell it to you and also verify, like, hey, is it true or not? So let's go through some of these talking points, right? So then one of the main selling points that they're really pushing for this is the 4500 RPM laptop. Now, I've had other laptop cooling pads before, and I have to say this one is really strong. It is loud because I cranked it up to the highest, because right now my computer is running the hottest. What I'm feeling right now is that, yes, it is definitely pretty cool. And when I say pretty cool, I'm touching the laptop right now and the keyboard is no longer hot. Part next to the monitor here, yes, definitely still hot, but the keyboard itself, not hot anymore, right? And we've been running this for a good 5 minutes and it's cooled down significantly. Now, if I'm using this whole time to play video games or do other labor-intensive stuff, this should actually be a pretty decent solution. Now, another piece that they want me to talk about, and I'm here to verify, is actually the airtight seal rings. When I was first installing, I wasn't really sure, like, why am I even putting on these rings? Like, does it even matter? And apparently, they are airtight sealing rings. As I was sitting here and like waiting for like the last 5 minutes, I'm like, wait a second. There is nowhere for the air to go. So the fan is blowing air into the bottom of the laptop, but it's stuck there. Essentially, what that means is that the cool air is continuously getting pumped into here and there's nowhere for it to go. So it just keeps cooling and cooling and cooling and cooling and cooling. And if I lift this up right now and I touch the bottom, it is cool. It is not hot. I mean, it's warm. Like the parts in the back here near the fan outlet is pretty hot, but everywhere else is really cool. And in here, it does feel cool. So I'd say it's doing a pretty darn good job in terms of just keeping the laptop cool. And in terms of the keyboard, yeah, I mean, still cool, right? And I'm still running Cinebench as we're speaking. The next piece is, some people like LEDs. I'm a little, don't really care for it as much. But one thing that is cool is if you don't care for it, you can press and hold the LED button and just turn it off. Or if you bring it into your bedroom and you want to play a video game while your partner is sleeping and she's like, turn it off, you can turn it off. So that's a pretty nice thing, and keep the fan on. Now, are you gonna be blowing it at 3 where it's like super loud? Probably not. So in other words, there's always that option. Now, the next thing is, I forgot to mention that how many levels we can set here. So over here, like at the ridges at the bottom, you can set this at different heights, right? And apparently there are 7 different steps you can set it up on. So if you want to set it a lot higher, like this, definitely it's an option. These are called anti-fall baffles. They're brackets that keep the laptop in place. So as you're adjusting, I could see a pretty good convenience piece to this where you don't have to like remove the laptop, adjust, and then put it back on. I've had those laptop stands which have a fan, which has like multiple adjustment angles, and then you can't really leave your laptop on there because each leg needs to be adjusted, and those just, I threw it out already, right? But this one, definitely really solid that you don't have to take your laptop off, you can just adjust and it should be good. And finally, one more thing that I read is that those filters I mentioned earlier, apparently that you can take them out, they're washable, and so with proper cleaning, you can extend the life of your rig because you don't want it to struggle sucking air into the computer. All right, so now we're about 10 minutes in. Feels pretty good. Like, I'd say it's warm, but I wouldn't say it's hot. I've definitely played video games in the past where the computer is just struggling to keep up and the cooling system is not adequate. And as I'm playing, it's just too hot to the touch. I'm like, oh no, I'm done, right? If I'm just measuring by the touch, that's not very helpful to you guys. So why don't I actually measure the temperature and download the software for it? So right now I did download the software and I'm still rendering. I removed it from the cooling pad for a good 5-10 minutes now. And it's just to see, hey, how hot is this running? And without the cooling pad, I'm seeing numbers around 70 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. There's 13 cores in my computer right now. And so, yeah, it's definitely getting really hot and sometimes it's hitting red. And I'm using core temp to measure this. Now I'm gonna put the laptop back on the stand to see how it does. And when I say let it sit for another 5-10 minutes, I'm actually sitting here looking at the numbers to make sure like, hey, how does it compare to when the fan was not on? All right, so I sat here for a while and essentially what I'm seeing is for this particular computer, cores 2 and 3 do run the hottest. When it was on here, core 3 consistently hit 100 degrees and turned red in terms of like the text several times. As it's sitting here, Core 3 hit 100 only once. And overall, across the board, the numbers are lower. We're talking about 60s and 70s, right? So not many of them are hitting the 80s anymore. So without the fan, we're talking about hitting 80 and 90 degrees Celsius at a pretty consistent basis. But with the fan, we're talking about hanging more around levels of 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. And sometimes one or two of the hotter cores would hit 90s. So definitely for me, I would feel comfortable playing video games on this or doing some GPU intensive work on this because it's just, I'd say the cooling is pretty solid. Last piece is put it on my actual lap, and I would say it's fine. Yeah, I mean, put it on your lap because it's a laptop cooling pad. It is still cooling. I don't feel it's hot. I don't feel it's cumbersome. It's not ginormous like some of those other big laptop pads out there. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent placement on the lap as well. Not big, not cumbersome, a good size for a good size computer on my lap. Now, I'm gonna be doing this often? Probably not. All right, so what's the final verdict for this product? I would say overall, there's several wins for this product. Number one, I think the sealing definitely helps. I think the fan is definitely powerful. And the fact that all the cool air is basically sealed at the bottom is great. It keeps the computer cool. I think for LED lights though, the fact that you can turn it off, that's a pretty cool thing. In terms of the speed of the fan itself, it can run pretty loud. And in this case, you probably do want it to run loud instead of scorching your fingers. At the same time, it can be pretty quiet. I think in terms of the design, the baffles help. The fact that it's pretty adjustable and keep the stuff in place so that I don't have to worry too much about the computer dropping as I'm adjusting on the fly. Some design questions in the back here, you know, does this actually really help? And if I want to clean it, then it's kind of flimsy. And so there are some issues here where, you know, I appreciate the attention to detail, but is this necessarily the right solution? I'm not sure, because if you put a hard plastic on there, it's gonna crack at some point, right? If you need to clean it and move on. So that's another issue. But sticking on a 3M sticker, I'm not convinced that's the right approach. But definitely in terms of the filter in the back, that's also very helpful. So I'd say overall, it's a very solid product. The only question is, it does run a little bit more expensive than other laptop stands out there that I personally purchased in the past. I would say it's definitely something worth considering. If $60 is within your budget and you're looking for quality, I would say this definitely fits in the category of quality. Personally, in the past, I've bought over 3 laptop stands just to put on my lap, and you know, a stand for the table, and I've thrown all those away because overall I've just stopped using them. But however, I feel this one does sit in another category. So overall, my verdict would be for cooling, it does the job very well. I would say in terms of the build, it's a pretty solid build. It's not, you don't feel it's like made of cheap plastic, the type that you can break pretty easily. Yeah, the legs in the back, pretty solid design. The baffles, I really like the baffles because at this angle, you definitely need baffles. The LED lights, pretty solid. Aesthetics, it's pretty solid. And also in terms of the size, I don't feel it takes up a lot of real estate, especially given my computer is so big. If your computer is a little smaller, I could see how it would feel a little bit big compared to your computer. But for my computer, it is perfect. Right? You can see, it's perfect. Finally, for the price, I would say it's definitely on the higher end, but like I said, if you're looking for a good quality cooling pad, I would say this would fit in the category of a good quality cooling pad. Also want to thank the folks over at AFMAT. They sent this product to me free of charge, gave me some good talking points, things to focus on and some to highlight that I may have overlooked, and I think honestly they were some pretty good talking points, and my goal was to verify whether these talking points were true or not, and I would say for the most part they're all true. Now if you found this review to be helpful, please give this video a like and perhaps subscribe to my channel for more in the future. Now if you decide to purchase this because of my review, I'd appreciate it if you click the affiliate link so that you can support the channel and I can do more of these types of videos in the future. And that's it. That's a review for AFMAT cooling pad. Take care, everybody.